What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Sector for Nerds. I'm Ryan Brower, and today I'm here to talk with you guys about Star Wars The Bad Batch, Episode 11, Devil's Deal. Wait a second, are we sure this is a Bad Batch episode? Because I didn't see much Bad Batch in this episode, but you know what I did see? I saw Ryloth, and I saw Cham, and then, and most importantly, I saw Hera and Chopper. But before we continue talking about that, you guys, make sure you guys like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If this is your first time watching here on my channel, I like to do a lot of reactions to fan-made Star Wars content, whether that be fan films or tribute videos, and then obviously when there's any trailers for any Star Wars shows that come out, I also like to do reactions to those too. I also like to do a lot of discussion videos, similar to what we're doing here today, about the latest episodes that appear on Disney Plus from both Star Wars and Marvel. We're currently doing it with both The Bad Batch and with Loki, and when What If comes out, we're going to be doing that. When Star Wars Vision comes out, we're going to be doing discussions about that as well, and the Book of Boba Fett, and the Ahsoka show, and everything in between. So make sure you guys subscribe to the channel so you never miss amazing content from me. Alright guys, so let's talk about this episode, because as I mentioned before, the Bad Batch had a very minimal part in this episode. They were in the episode for, I want to say, like 5 minutes at the very most, because this episode wasn't necessarily about them. It was about the story of Ryloth and the story of Cham and Hera and Chopper, and so we got to see what the Empire was up to on Ryloth. So the funny thing was, Cham, of all people, was the one who helped kind of hand his planet to the Empire, because at the beginning, he was the one who was like, yeah, we got to trust the Empire. And of course, his people are going to trust him, but then at the same time, you have those, you know, that are going to rebel and resist. People like Kobe, people like his own daughter, like Hera. We see that Admiral Rampart is there. We see that Crosshair is there. I'm honestly surprised that Crosshair is still with the Empire at this point. I thought after what happened on Braca that the Empire was going to be done with Crosshair, but clearly I was wrong. We got to see Senator Ta, who was, you know, played a part in the Clone Wars as well, especially with the Ryloth stuff. We get to see not only Cham, but we also get to see his wife as well. And I think that's the first time we've seen his wife in, like anything, because I don't think she was ever in Clone Wars, and we'd only heard mention of her in Rebels. And I will admit, when they referenced Hera, I didn't think we were actually gonna get her. But then when I saw her and Chopper, I was just immediately like, oh my gosh. So not only have we seen Kanan in this show, but now we have seen Hera as well. We also get to see the 10 Prophets. It's where Hera grew up, as we learn in Rebels, and we also rescue Hera from there, from the clutches of Grand Admiral Thrawn. We also get to see the Y-Wing that Chopper crashed in as well. I thought that was a nice thing to add there as well. Very much like keeping those connections there with stuff in Star Wars Rebels. So I was kind of getting to the point in this episode where I'm like, damn, are we not going to see any Bad Batch in this episode? But then when they go on their supply run and they say they're, you know, meeting someone, I'm like, ah, okay, here's where Bad Batch is going to come in. And then sure enough, we get the Bad Batch, we get Omega, who is part of the Bad Batch. So when I say Bad Batch, that includes Omega as well. Y'all already know. I loved the interaction between Hera and Omega. That was cool. I loved it how Omega was like, no funny business. Like, she's really starting to like learn things and grow up and mature, and, you know, a little bit, and she's starting to kind of pick up on things that the Bad Batch have taught her, like, you know, don't trust many people and all that stuff. And I like how she asked Hunter's permission, like, hey, is it okay if Hera comes on the ship? You know what I'm saying? So she's understanding, like, hey, we can't trust that many people. And so the reason why the Bad Batch was there is because they went to sell weapons to the Twi'leks, and that was something that they had gotten in contact with Sid, and Bad Batch were basically the delivery boys. But going back to what I was talking about with Hera and Omega, I like the conversation that she had about flying, and her saying, like, it's not about just learning all the mechanisms and buttons and things like that, it's a feeling. And then I like that after Hera left and Omega tells them, did you guys know that flying isn't just a feeling? And Tech's just like, huh? I loved Omega giving Hera a tour of the ship, and she's like, oh, this is my favorite part, and they show her her room, and Hera's like, oh, you live on a spaceship? And Omega's like, yeah, this is my room. I mean, except for the parts when we're getting shot at and stuff, and then I gotta leave, but then apart from that, I live there. It was a very touching conversation, and it was very, very awesome to see. I've always enjoyed it when Omega interacts with other characters in the Star Wars universe, like her interactions with Fennec, her interactions with Rex, and now her interactions with Hera as well. So before the Twi'leks left for their mission, Crosshair planted a tracker on the ship, so once they got back, they were able to ambush them, and obviously then they take them as prisoners. Senator Ta is there, Rampart is there, everybody's there, but then Cham ambushes the convoy. They end up, they're gonna take everybody prisoner, but then I'm like, oh shit, wait a second, Crosshair's got a sniper, what's he gonna do? And Cham looks like he's ready to kill Ta, and then his wife's like, no, not here, not now. He'll get his way, but he'll get what's coming to him, but not now. And I think it was basically like them saying like, don't do it while Hera's around. But then I also thought as well, I'm like, shit, Crosshair's gonna kill Ta, and then they're gonna frame it on Cham. Sure enough, that's exactly what happened. So now this is where the people will turn on Cham, because they'll think, oh, he murdered the senator. So yeah, and then this is obviously now where Cham's gonna start to form his rebellion. Hera was able to get away and she's on the run, but it looks like one of the clones is after her. Now here's the curious thing, I don't think we got a name for this clone, but I am very curious though, you guys, because all of the clones at this point are supposed to be under the influence of the inhibitor chip, right? So that means they're supposed to be following orders without question. But this clone was very resistant to everything that was going on. He was always there for Cham, helping him out, and he was kind of against everything that Rampart was saying, and same with Senator Ta as well. So what is the deal with this clone? And did he not have an inhibitor chip, or like, is he somehow resisting it, or like, what's the deal there, you guys? What do you think's going on there? Because your guesses are probably as good as mine. I think what's also interesting about this episode is this is the first episode where I feel like they could have left a to be continued at the end, because I have a feeling that this story isn't done. I feel like we're only just beginning. I feel like we've now gotten sort of the start of it, and I feel like we're going to get a part 2 to this in the next episode. Maybe the Bad Batch is going to have to rescue Hera, and then maybe that's how Hera gets off world. And I think that could also explain as well why Hera is so willing to trust the clones when Kanan isn't. Remember in Rebels when Kanan was so hesitant about it, especially when they first meet Rex, and Hera's like, you gotta trust them. The clones saved millions of lives in the Clone Wars, including my own. And so maybe that has a part to play into why Hera is so willing to trust clones, is because she knows that not all clones are bad, especially the Bad Batch. Gosh, this was a really good episode, you guys. Normally when I watch these episodes, I like to take some notes here and there just so I kind of have like, you know, in my head what I want to talk about when it comes to the episodes when I do the videos. But there was a point in this episode, I think like during the conversation with Hera and Omega, like from that point in the episode to the end, I just stopped taking notes because like I was so like entranced by what I was watching. Like it had me hooked that it was just like, oh, I freaking love this show, you guys. I guess is the point that I'm trying to make. Like it had me so hooked to the point where I just couldn't take any more notes. I really, really, really love this show, you guys. I feel like if y'all can't find one good episode in this show, then like, good lord, what's wrong with you guys? I don't know, to each his own, I guess. Obviously, if Bad Batch is all you know, which I'm pretty sure most people that are watching Bad Batch have probably seen Clone Wars and Rebels already, but just in case there hasn't been, this episode may have confused people as to what the importance of this is. And I feel like what they're trying to tell right now, what Dave's trying to do, is tell the story of what happened to Hera and how she separated from her parents, because that was an arc for her in Rebels. Now, it may not have much significance to the story of the Bad Batch, but I think like having the Bad Batch in there, it's like, okay, so at least they did something. But I feel like at the end of the day, it's like, okay, for those people who've watched Rebels and have seen Clone Wars, this is almost an episode for you guys to go like, hey, this is sort of the bridge between that and Rebels and sort of what happens with Cham, what happens with Hera and Chopper. So yeah, I thought they did such a good job, you guys. And like I said, let's be real. Most people that are seeing Bad Batch right now have probably already seen Clone Wars and Rebels. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought of this episode. I thought this was a really good one. I don't think it was necessarily like my favorite episode. Like there were still other episodes that I liked better than this one, but this was still a really good episode. I know I say it every week, but I freaking love this show and I don't want it to end. I really, like, please, Dave, please make a season 2. Look, if you only have one season to do this, like if you think that's enough to tell the story, okay, fine. But at the same time, it's like, okay, these guys, like this season has gotten me super invested in the Bad Batch, and I think that this show could go for the length that Clone Wars did, especially because you have so many years to work with in between episodes 3 and 4, whereas the Clone Wars, there was only a few years. Here, there's at least over a decade of content that you can fill here, and I feel like doing it through the eyes of the Bad Batch would be a tremendous idea, and so far, it's worked out really well. But yeah, guys, I think before I ramble on too much longer, I think I'm gonna wrap us up here. I'm very excited to see where the next episode goes. Like I said, I don't think this story is done yet. I think this is gonna be like a part 2 to this story, and that I think Hera is gonna get rescued by the Bad Batch because they're gonna get compromised or something. I think they'll find a way to rescue Cham, but then they're gonna rescue Hera. Hera might find her own path with Chopper, or heck, maybe Hera travels with the Bad Batch for a little bit first. I think that would be kind of cool. You could then kind of build on Hera and Omega's relationship. You could kind of see a bond between them grow, and then eventually you can see Hera and Chopper leave and form their own path. I don't know, that's just a thought. Maybe they'll do that, maybe not. Maybe we won't see her get separated from her parents yet. Maybe that's still another story to tell in another season or something like that. Or heck, maybe we find Hera getting the ghost at some point. You know what I'm saying? Because Hera's got to find the ghost at some point and find Kanan. So maybe that's what's going to happen in the next episode. Maybe we get the ghost. That would be pretty awesome. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, share this video around as it really helps support the channel, and I will see you guys next time.
This is the way.
This is the way.